do not commit adultery. Adultery is not just about physical betrayal. Exodus 20:14 draws a clear boundary, but Jesus shows how deep this sin actually goes. In Matthew 5:27-28, he says that lust itself is adultery in the heart. Sexual sin does not begin in the bedroom, it begins in desire. Marriage, according to Scripture, is not a contract, it's a covenant. Genesis 2:24 describes one man and one woman united, becoming one flesh. That union is exclusive, permanent, and ordered by God. Adultery violates that covenant by taking what belongs within marriage and using it outside of God's design. This is why lust matters. Lust reduces a person to an object. It treats bodies as tools for pleasure instead of people made in God's image. Pornography fits squarely here. It is not harmless entertainment. It trains the mind to separate sex from commitment, intimacy from responsibility, and desire from love. What Scripture calls adultery, culture calls normal, but the damage remains the same. Sex outside of marriage carries the same violation. It takes something designed to seal a covenant and turns it into a temporary experience. God's design was never meant to restrict joy, but to protect it. When sex is removed from marriage, it loses its meaning and creates harm instead of unity. Divorce must also be understood through this lens. While Scripture allows for mercy in broken situations, divorce always represents a fracture of covenant. What God joins together is not meant to be treated lightly. Hebrews 13:4 says, "Marriage should be honored by all and sexual purity guarded because God takes covenant seriously." Sexual sin is ultimately a misuse of God's design. It promises intimacy without commitment, pleasure without responsibility, and freedom without consequence. But it always leaves damage in its wake, emotionally, spiritually, and relationally. This command confronts more than behavior. It confronts desire. It asks whether we will submit our sexuality to God's design or reshape it around personal want, and that question reaches far deeper than actions. It reaches the heart.